Oh, she. All right, well, I was going nowhere, man. Welcome back, Portrait Bootcamp, week 203, lesson 4 to 10. How y'all doing? Welcome, welcome. Got about 10 submissions, lesson 4 to 10. Oh, we got
Yo.
co-host Chris. Shit, they can. I forgot
I
about
was
it,
waiting
man.
for the
He
introduction.
was waiting for the pull-up, but he
Oh
didn't
shit.
come. He didn't come, man. All right, let's see what you guys have. We got some lesson 9 submissions. Can't wait to see this color, though.
Some color though.
Yeah, so
Where
let's.
lesson 10 people at?
Yeah, where they at? Where they at?
Where y'all at? Don't be shy. Come on.
Marquise, what's up, ain't? Last time
You
you
just keep
said.
you just keep on
No, yeah.
cutting more and more
Yeah.
parts. Like a couple weeks from now, it's gonna be like,
No, no, no.
ooh.
Making the transition from the lights to darks more smooth. The stem of the gourd had some green stuff on it. Should I have added that? Thanks, bro. Marquise.
Gourd.
What is the gourd?
I don't know.
Let's.
You
Can we?
you photographed these
Can we?
personal names.
Can we Google that? The fuck is a gourd? Oh, that's like a pumpkin.
What is a gourd?
I don't know.
There's some weird ass
Like
looking
this.
pumpkin.
Okay, okay. So the stem of the gourd had some green stuff. Should I have added it? All right. So that was last time, Marquise. We talked a little bit about the rendering, being more clear, being kind of like adding more transitions. And this is like this time, and it's looking amazing. So looking really, really nice, Marquise. Love it. I think your question about the gourd, about adding the green stuff.
Gourd?
I think that's a cool thing. It's not really necessary, but I think you can kind of explore that and try it out. I think it can just kind of teach you more about color and how to do it. So yeah, if you see something like this in the reference, you can just try it out to see like how it will look. And you can always just add it and remove it if you don't like it. But I think just trying it out is really helpful. Now, really love the lemon and the avocado, but I feel like the gourd is lacking a little bit of saturation. So we're talking literally like a couple of points, but if you look at the one in the reference, the saturation is 25, 26, and I think yours is more like 17, 18, 20, 21. So we're literally talking about like a couple of points. So I would say that this whole thing needs to be a bit more saturated. Now, when you're working with colors, you always want to stay a bit more on the saturated side than the desaturated. Why? Because you can always add desaturation on top of saturation, but adding saturation on top of desaturation doesn't look that great, okay? So I would say just making it a bit more saturated than this. And I know why you might have thought that because it feels very desaturated in the reference, but just be careful with the saturation. So this is a bit of what I would do. It's a very subtle thing before and after. And another thing is same thing in the shadows, like just a bit more saturation in order for it to feel like more warm. You know, like there's a lot of warmness in here. The thing is, if you zoom in, you can kind of see how there's like just, I don't know, infinite amount of colors and all that. So you have to kind of grasp like what sort of the almost like the logo of the shadow is, you know, like how warm does it feel? And I would think it would feel more warm. If anything, you actually, I feel like you added it more warm down here, but then up here, you just kind of made it desaturated.
I think
So,
a good rule
yeah.
of thumb is every time when you color pick the reference and you see some sort of saturation, you always want to go a couple of like points more saturated than the reference.
Yeah, I think that's a great point by Chris. Is if you see some saturation in here, like literally right next to it, it's 33, but then this is like 50, you know? So there's like 15% difference in both.
You're
And
not zooming in that much because that's kind of toxic. I
yeah,
mean
that's
like
that's
overall.
toxic, but I just want to show like there's like the different type of
Yeah, I
saturation.
mean like more overall, like when you color pick around the reference and you see like say this is like in the range between 33 and like 35, you could like
Mm-hmm.
go with like I don't know, like a 40-ish. Just a couple of more
Yeah.
points more saturation really makes a difference.
Yeah, a couple of more points around the saturation and sticking more to the saturated end than not. And if you look in here, it's around from 35 to 50, and literally yours is 27. So adding more saturation in both the lights and the shadows. Now, another thing that has happened is you see there's a bunch of fill light in here. We would talk about that in lesson 10. Lesson 9, we still call it reflected light. So it's just kind of like this sort of like coldness coming from the bottom. Now the problem is that in your process you left it really really bright, and then when you added the color that you used is darker than the shadow. Now It's literally in the name itself. It's reflected light and it's a shadow. So that means that the reflected light needs to be lighter than the shadow. So whenever you add reflected light to something, whatever color it is, it needs to be brighter than the color you already have. So that means that over here, when you make this kind of like darker, on top of it, you would have to make the color from here lighter in order to make it feel like it's light. So that's why we're building up the shadows before adding reflected light so it can actually seem like reflected light. Because otherwise, if you just add a darker reflected light on a lighter shadow, it feels muddy, right? Because it doesn't even feel like light. So that's a really important principle, Marquise. So hopefully this makes sense. I think, again, all the other fruits are okay. So just apply this for the pumpkin. And I think do maybe another one, send it over. You're getting better at it, Marquise. So your rendering has improved a lot. I think just work on the colors a bit more and we'll check it out next time. So dope stuff. And yeah, let's see it next time. My computer be lagging and shit though. I don't know what's up. Okay, okay. All right, so that's it for Marquise. Next up, we have. Can I get it? Can I get it over with though?
Chill.
Shit.
Basically, like, hey, yo, we going too fast.
My PC's like, bro, this is not a tempo we want to be working at. Stan. Hi, Andrew. This is my first week in lesson 9. Welcome. I was practicing natural lighting and moved on to rim lighting. Damn, this bro was like, shit, I
Fuck
can't.
all y'all.
Fuck on, yeah. I decided that the reference with the 2 fruits will be easier, but it appears it has 3 lights. There was a lot of head scratching. It was hard to imagine this reference without rim light, especially the background. I've done my best. Thank you for your feedback, Stan. All right. So this one was last time, Stan. He did an OP. Love the eyes. And then this is his first week in still lives. This is amazing, bro. This is really, really dope. Love all the colors. Love the rendering. Love the lights and everything. So the whole technique's looking really, really nice. And he did this reference, which is really cool because I haven't really seen anybody in a while do this reference right here. So that's amazing. I think you really, really pulled it off. So that's amazing. I love all the kind of process, like really good colors without rim light. I feel like, Stan, you might have had some prior experience with colors, but yeah, I think this one deserves a green sword. It'd be dope to kind of have this example in the community. Let's see if my computer lags or not. Yes, it will. So, okay, I'm gonna save them later.
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, Stan, I feel like you're kind of ready to do some color lighting. So yeah, move on to some color lighting references, and you can do another black and white portrait if you want. And yeah, can't wait to see that.
This, you won't be struggling too much with color lighting.
Yeah, I don't think you really struggle with the color lighting colors, but let's check them out, and we'll see you next time, Stan.
Did you say that already?
I didn't, because I was worried that it takes too much time, but then out of habit, I pressed it.
Oh my god.
I pressed it out of habit, bro. I need to restart my computer.
You want to do it right now?
Not right now. All right, Cinnamon. Hi, Angel and Chris. Last time you said that I should do more studies and keep the hair shadows shapes in mind in terms of making them look less messy. Let me know how I did this time. Thanks in advance. No specific questions. So this one was last time.
I love how they embrace it.
Yeah, I love it. I love
when.
when
Who I am now.
I love when people embrace it.
Yeah.
Love you guys. So this one was last time, looking really dope, and this one is this time. This one and this one. Yeah, you've done awesome. See, I should call you really short something.
Like
Simi.
Sini.
Sini.
No, I don't think so. The beauty of it though.
Okay. So yeah, looking amazing. Love the hair. Love the kind of like features and everything. And honestly, I think you're ready, Cinemi. So wait. Hold on. What was? All right, go confetti.
We haven't used that in a while.
You're ready, Cinemi, minimi. You can move on to lesson 9. Get started with the still lives, and you can still work on some black and white portraits. But yeah, you've done amazing. Love all the hair. Yeah, I think you, even from last time, you've improved a lot with the shapes and stuff. So you're looking.
Like, chill out with the mess.
Yeah.
Like, say less.
Say less. Yeah, looks really nice. Love the whole face. Love the rendering.
Feel stylized, which is kind of cool. Like they're. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's looking really nice, enemy. So can't wait to see it. See you. All right. Next up to Yoko. Hi, Angel. Hope you're having a nice week. Thank you. Last time, balance between details and planes. Basic plane should be clear. Angle of nose was wrong. Separate the bottom plane of the nose. Keep space for the glabella. Clear edge at the bottom of the eyebrows. Damn, Tuyoko really going in with the detailed
You went
feedback.
all out on this
Zoom
guy.
in and clean up with the smudge. Thank you for your time and feedback to Yoko. Thank you for your time to Yoko. So this one was last time. He did an OP. Love it. This one is looking amazing, bro. Shit, look at that. Look at that.
Mhm.
Love when people apply their
Yeah,
feedback.
look how clean the lips are
Oh yeah, yeah, for
before.
sure. So really cool. This one is this week. Looking amazing to Yoko, so definitely improved a lot of the clarity, a lot of the edges. You know, like look at how clear that whole nose is. The lips be looking really clear. So yeah, I feel like you're honestly ready for that lesson 7 to
Let's
Yoko.
go.
So
You're perfect.
congrats. Okay. You're doing
We're in the
awesome,
moment,
man.
bruh.
You're doing awesome. So move on to lesson 7. I feel like you could still use a bit more practice of rendering males in just kind of like getting more comfortable with even more rendering and clarity and stuff. But yeah, I think it's you've definitely reached kind of like that level. The hair be looking pretty nice too. So you're doing awesome to Yoko. Keep it up. All right, people just be passing
Right,
today
what's
though.
up, though?
Shit.
Slash champion NBA,
All
man.
right. Alan, hi Angel. Hope you're doing well.
We
Thank
shouldn't
you.
say that though.
Oh
Because
shit,
every time you're like, hey, okay,
we'll
my
s-
turn to pass. And you're like,
we'll
oh,
see. We'll see. Last time you said I'm very close to moving on to lesson 7. I just need to work on a few things such as the eyebrow rendering and eye shapes. I don't have any specific questions this time. Thank you and have a good one, Alan. All right, so this one was last time, Alan. Really nice. I think this was his best work yet. Really looking amazing. And this one is this week. Looking really good too, Alan. So you're doing awesome. And honestly, there's some small things I'm gonna show you, but you know, not to keep you in suspense. what, what is it, bro? What is it? You're ready, man.
oh
Going
my
through all the
god.
shortcuts. But yeah, I haven't. Listen, I've been keeping the confetti in the back for a little while.
The
Okay.
dunk caught dust.
Yeah, shit. All right. You're ready, Alan, for that lesson 7, man. There's some small stuff I want to show you, and I still think it's important for you to do some rendered males in the future. Please don't stop the rendering of males when you move on to females, okay? Because I feel like a big part of understanding how to render comes from the males. So some small stuff I would show you is over here. If you think about like how you've kind of painted it, is that this under sort of like whole eyelid and stuff, it just feels so out of the face, and it won't really kind of end like this because of the wrapping. It would actually be here. Does that make sense, Alan? So it turns around like this. It doesn't go out, you know, it turns around. So because it's turning around, it's going to be actually much smaller than this. And when you make it smaller, you'd realize that this whole thing actually needs to go higher, right? So it won't end that low. It would actually end a little bit higher than that. So yeah, always the wrapping of the form around the face. A couple of other things over here with the edges, bottom of the nose, maybe a bit more like glazing it over so you can kind of get like more of a grouping effect. And I think also in here, what I love to do is just, especially when it's not clear in the reference, you just kind of get a lasso and then literally just glaze with the whole brush to separate like literally that whole plane from this front one. So this thing with a red is pointing forward, this thing with a green is pointing to the side. And that really helps you to actually just point that out. And then a final thing is probably the chin. So the whole chin, I think it needs to kind of capture a bit more light because right now it just kind of feels like the whole chin is in shadow, and it actually would sort of be like this. And this from here to here, there will be like a little bit of light. Okay. So this is before and after. I think that overdid the light a little bit. But yeah, you're doing awesome, Alan. So do some more males, trial lesson 7. And yeah, we'll see you next time. All right. LC, hi Angel. Last week, fix some mistakes in the sketch, bridge of the nose, cheekbones, because they were negatively affecting the shading. Nice. This week, unfortunately, I only drew one this week, but I put heaps of effort into it, and it has improved, and I hope it has improved from last week. I think the shadow of the face are a bit muddy. Do you agree? How can I fix this? Thanks. Have a lovely day. LC. Awesome. So LC been working on that lesson 5, looking good. This one last time, this one as well, looking really nice. And this one is this week. Yeah, also definitely shows your efforts, man. You're doing amazing. Love all the kind of work with the shadows. You're definitely like developing more and more shapes. Your planes are looking better. So yeah, I think you're saying that your shadows. You asked whether your shadows are looking muddy or not. I don't think they're looking muddy. I think what it is that it's just kind of lacking shapes. So what that means is that over here you would really need to just kind of add more of a cast shadow. So if you actually just look at the reference, you can see that there's a cast shadow from the nose. So all this thing with a red shape, you need to show that in the painting. So even though the whole thing is in shadow, you can really just add a cast shadow within the shadow. That's what we call in lesson 5, really shapes within the shape, right? And you need to do more of this because otherwise you just end up with unclear shapes, like you don't add any shapes and it just feels very like soft. So basically over here, you haven't defined any shape in that area and it just ends up feeling very kind of like something is lacking because there's not enough information. So I think that's like the biggest thing that I'm seeing. And then a couple of other small things is building like the values, building up more of the shadows. So this shadow under the nose would need to be a little bit darker. Under the neck, you see actually in the neck there's a bit of a cast shadow. So what's happening is that the shirt is actually throwing a shadow onto the whole neck. So over here you would really have this sort of a triangle here that's being casted from the shirt.
The exact same thing is happening on the nose. Like the nose is throwing a shadow on top of the face because it's a form like standing forward and it's getting hit by light. So we need like it's important to show that this
Mm-hmm.
object casts a shadow on top of the face.
Exactly. So even if it's not that clear in the reference, we still want to show it if there's like a little bit of it showing because again it defines more of the structure of the face. Without that, there's not enough structure in the face and it just feels more empty. Also, another thing is just really building up. You see this light that's on the face. You really need to make it lighter in order for it to stand out because otherwise it just feels like it's blending with the other light and it doesn't stand out. Some small things as well is over here. I feel like you've really pushed sort of the arch to be like this thing with a red, and I feel like it just needs to be a little bit lower. It just needs to be a bit more like that because you just kind of made it a little too high, and it doesn't really it's just like I think the plane is good, but you can literally get this plane and do the arch like this, or you can get this plane and do the arch like this. I think if you literally just follow your plane and just gonna go down with it, I think you're gonna end up with more of this result than this thing. So just a little bit lower than this. And the other thing that I wanted to show you in your sketch is it feels like the design of the eyes is good, but it feels like this eye's pointing in like this direction and this eye's pointing downwards. So they're both facing downwards. So what you want to do is you want to really make sure that they're both symmetrical. And I would just rotate this towards this and then really rotate this towards the opposite direction. So really just doing that thing. So be careful with that. And yeah, I think another small thing would be the tracing in the eyebrows. You can really get to trace it on top of the reference to see where it's at. And I think it would be a little bit at a different angle than what you have it. I think, let me try to warp it so I can get a better shape to show you. But I feel like yours is pointing a little too low. So the angle of the eyebrow is pointing too low, while I think it's a bit more like, horizontal. So very small stuff like this in the sketch that are affecting the shading. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the shading. So clear shadows within shadows, the light and values. So hopefully this makes sense. I'm gonna post this out afterwards, Elsie. So yeah, doing great. Keep it up. Let's do a couple more. All right, Sammy. Hi, Angel and Chris. Oh yeah.
Yo,
Hope
head
you guys.
popping into Saints. Yo,
Hope you guys are having a great Thursday. Thank you
we
so
are.
much. We are. Last week's critique really boosted my confidence. Okay.
Okay.
So I decided to let go of the self doubt, tried some lesson 5 like you suggested, and have my first study to show you. I think shading is actually making sense to me, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. This course is magic or something. Yo, happy it works. Happy it works for you, Sammy. Shout out to Evie for making awesome examples to study from. Yeah, shout out Evie and everybody else, man. It's a whole ass community effort. I have one complaint: hair. I really struggle with it, but studied the new hair process, and I think I've sorted out, figured it out. My husband said my study looks weird, so I'm mad at him, but I'm proud of it anyway.
He doesn't
Arm,
understand anything.
yeah, he doesn't know.
Don't listen to him.
Are my shadows and lights built up enough? How is the hair? Thank you for your guys' time, and I look forward to your feedback. Sammy, thank you so much, Sammy. You sound
Aw,
so nice. Yeah, be careful with that self-doubt, man. It really gets you, you know? So just keep going. You're doing awesome. Everybody is.
you are doing awesome.
And don't
We
over
saw your
fucking,
work.
yeah, and don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. All right? So this one was last time, Sammy, looking amazing. This one as well. And Sammy did a bit of an overpaint with making the hair darker, so that's amazing. And this one is this week. It's looking amazing, Sammy. So really nice. Let me address the husband for a
Your
little
husband's
while.
wrong.
No. Not really that it's wrong. I just want to explain like why he's probably saying what he's saying, because when a non-artist looks at this, they're not really thinking about the form. They're just kind of like, oh, it just feels like a robot or something, you know? But that's because you still haven't even gotten to the rendering yet, you know? So when you get to render and you really like smudge everything and you make it with better edges and all that, it's gonna really look finished. So that's why he's probably saying that. So don't worry about it. Don't get feedback or take anything seriously from people who don't paint. They're not better than you,
Show
you
him your
know?
paintings when you get to rendering. Let's see what he thinks. I mean,
E-
not even. You know what? Don't show your art to anybody.
I don't even know about that.
kidding.
Chris
I'm
over here
kidding.
from the back just
I'm
throwing a
kidding.
bunch of
I'm
bad
kidding.
ideas
I'm
all the
kidding.
time.
I will shut up.
Okay, so Sammy, it's looking amazing. Let's check out your process as well. So yeah, I think you follow the process really nice. The end result looks amazing. I think this is kind of really close. I think we just need a couple of more to see. But some small stuff I would mention is, first of all, the lip, the top lip, almost always needs to be like in shadow. And it needs to be darker than the bottom lip. So see this before and after, Sammy. And then another thing would be the bottom plane of the nose needs to be darker as well. So same thing as the top lip, is they're both facing down and they need to be in shadow. Another small thing is over here, you really made it seem as if this thing with a red is actually light. And if you look at the reference, it's actually in shadow. So that's why the whole thing in here, you need to just glaze the whole shadow and make it seem as if the whole thing is in shadow. So just kind of glazing over to really group the shadows together. So check this shit out before and after. Make sense? Okay, now a small thing that's happening in the sketch actually, and I want to show you, is in 3/4, especially like this angle, exactly like this, you need to really show that this is wrapping around. So you see this red line over here? You need to really show that this is going down, you know, and I think you've been worrying too much about like the actual eyelash. But the thing about the eyelash is that it's gonna come out of this. So it first goes down and then the eyelash comes, you know, but that's gonna make him feel a bit too much like a girl. So you don't worry too much about the eyelash for now. You just worry more about the wrapping of the eye. So see this before and after, Sammy? So hopefully it makes sense. Now the hair, it looks really good. I would say the only thing would be that the lights need to be a little bit brighter and they need to be a little bit smaller. So right now what you've done is you've kind of like made the light shapes a little too big. So it just feels like the light shapes are like right here touching the shadow and we're not seeing that much of the local. So allow more of the local to show through, you know? So for example, in here, you see kind of how I'm just adding right now the local and it's really giving, again, more of a feeling of it being 3D. I'm literally just kind of talking about these two chunks right here. So check it out before and after. You see, literally just this by itself just makes this whole 3D because it separates it into planes. You see, there's this plane and then there's this plane over here. But if there's no local like this, it just feels like there's no plane. It just feels like this whole thing is flat. So using more of the local to really make it feel more structured. And the other thing would be to just brighten it up a little bit more and make the light a bit lighter. Okay. So that's just the small thing about hair. But yeah, other than that, I feel like you definitely nailed the hair. So you're doing awesome, Sammy. I want you to keep going. Do a couple more. I'm going to save this one in the Discord. I want you to check it out. Apply the OP yourself. Do a couple more, and we'll see you next
Oh,
time,
just
Sammy.
another small thing about
Yes.
the chin. Maybe just like the
Oh, yes, yes,
light and
yes.
dark concept a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Great point by Chris is that right here we have, you see like this shape right here. You literally kind of have another shape that's kind of like, first of all, mimicking that same shape. So it just feels like you're repeating it. And second of all, you always want to really show the dark light, dark light. So right now it just feels lighter, then darker, and then even darker. So you need to decide where the shadow starts and then just start the shadowing from there. So I would just kind of have that light and then just have that darkness and then just decide that's the core shadow of the chin. And this is light and this is darkness. Because otherwise, if you just put this, it just sounds like, it not sounds, but
It
it
sounds.
sounds, but it looks a bit kind of like distracting, right? So you want to just decide like this is where the core shadow is. Let's check out your process and see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you're really showing the second shadow, you only want to show more of the reflected light and the shape within shape. And you're trying to show more of a transition. So you don't show the transition of the shadow through the second shadow, because that way you're trying to create a mid-tone through that first shadow that you already had. So hopefully this made sense. Maybe it sounds a little advanced. But yeah, it's basically when you add the second shadow, show the reflected light, not the mid-tone. Okay? So yeah.
Bro, it's too complicated, and then when to talk about fucking
Yes,
mid-tone.
probably is. Probably is. But you're doing great,
You're
Sammy.
doing
Don't
great,
worry too
Sammy. Don't worry
much.
about it.
Yeah. All right. See you next time. Anurag. Hi, coach. Hope you're well. Last time you told me to push the values more. I don't know if I successfully did that second study I did this week was without a green check to sort to refer, and it turned out marginally worse than the other. I wonder if I should do two with sword references and one without to see if I'm retaining from studying green swords.
I
Anurag.
think you have something in your
Yeah.
throat a
Uh,
little bit.
so I think this is a good idea, but especially for lesson 5, Anurag, if you're struggling with the shading, you can just keep doing green swords. And but yeah, I think a good ratio is 2 green swords and one without it, so you can kind of see how it's working out. But don't worry about the fact that it's just like a copy of a green sword. That doesn't matter. Like you're literally learning even more from it than not following it. All right. So this one was last time. It's looking pretty good. We talked a little bit about the values. This one is this time looking pretty good. This one, and this one. Oh, you said that the second one, I wonder if I should do. Wait, I successfully did that second study. Oh, okay. So this is actually the second. I think this looks really nice, Anorak. So this is looking amazing. Yeah. And then we have this third one. So I think the biggest thing you're struggling right now with Anorak is just values. So similar to last week, you sometimes are making things too light or you're making them too dark, and that's kind of affecting the whole portrait. Okay. So right here, a problem is that you've made the lights way too light, like you've made them into 80 and they're actually 60. So this is how bright they are in the reference, and this is how bright you made them. So you just made the whole thing brighter. And then also the shadows are not dark enough. So I think literally the whole thing just needs to get darker. So what I just did is I just grabbed like black with 20% opacity, and I just made the whole thing darker, both the shadows and the lights. Okay, so this is before and after, and you see like literally that feels much more like the reference than this. So that's it for this one. Now the next one, the second one, this is pretty good in terms of how the lights and the shadows look compared to each other. But the shadows again need to be darker. Wait, I need to grab better opacity. So in here, the shadows need to be darker, like they're almost pure black in here. You don't go pure black, but I would just get down to like maybe 6% of darkness. So a little bit darker with the shadows. And then the lights need to actually be brighter. So what you've done is you've first of all built up the shadow, the light. You've built it up exactly where the shadow ends. This is a very common mistake is people just get the light and they literally end it where the shadow is. And there's no loco anymore. So you need to allow through gradient to show that the loco is not touching sorry, the light is not exactly touching the shadow. So there's something in between the light and the shadow, and that's a bit of that local. Okay. And first of all, this, and second of all, building more of the lights. Like you literally needed to do a second pass with the lights in order to build them up a little bit more, because right now it just feels like there's not enough lights. Okay. So these are the main things. If you look at it now, before it used to feel like this whole area, Anurag, was just all 60, right? The whole thing was 60. Now, in the overpaint, this is 66, this is 45. So there's a gradient from 66 to 45. And before it was all just 60. Make sense? So you need to work more with gradients in the lights in order to show the turning of the form. So you need the transition gradients and you need the darkness in the shadows. That's it for this one. For this one, I think this one is probably your best. I think the hair in here needs to be darker. So again, values. So darker hair. And I think maybe the lights need to be a bit brighter, but you've kind of done that similar thing that we just talked about, where you just got on the light and check this thing out. So imagine this pink brush is literally your lights. So what you're doing is you're just adding it right here. You're adding it everywhere. And this is how it needs to look. You see kind of how it's less transparent on the edges. So that's where your lights need to be. So they're not the whole thing. They're still towards the edge, but they just become less opacity, right? So that allows the local to show through and become a bit darker. So this looks like it's wrapping around. So hopefully this makes sense, Anurag. I'm going to post this one on the Discord so you can check it out. So yeah, doing really nice. You're getting closer and closer. Work more on your values. And, we'll check it out next time. Dope stuff. All right, Maddie. Hi, Angel. Last time you helped me with some issues I had in my sketches in the eye area. Mentioned that my values were running a bit light. Do my values still look too light? What else can I improve? Thank you for the help as always. Thank you, Maddie. So this one was last time we talked about the values. Yes, this one as well, the values, and this one. Okay. So this one is this week. This one is this week as well. I think the values are looking much better, Maddie. So really nice work with this. Maybe this one in here, maybe the shadows can be a bit darker. But yeah, I don't think it's really that big of a problem. I think the main thing that you're struggling, Maddie, is basically following the planes and understanding where exactly to place really the shadows. So if you look at your cheekbone in the drawing, it's here, right? And then if you look at your tracing, the cheekbone is here. Now, this shape is very different than this shape. So if you look at this line, this angle, look at the sort of the blue, and then let's look at the purple, right? So this one is like this, and this is horizontal. So the whole angle is different. So you're not really following your planes. Now, I feel like the right solution would be more the tracing. However, it won't really be this angle. It would actually be a bit more like this. So the whole cheekbone would really need to be like this in order for it to point to the side. So see, this green shape is pointing to the side. Now, what you did, Maddie, this thing right here is showing more, like if we follow it, is showing more to the front or somewhere around here, but not to the side. So it needs to be like this and not like that. Does that make sense, Maddie? So in here, this is showing to the side, but this is too low. So in your drawing, because if you actually look at the size of this, look at how big this is and look at how big this is. So they both need to be a similar size. So this cheekbone is the right angle, but it needs to be higher. Okay, so that's what's kind of wrong with it in here. And then in here, this is high enough, but it's actually rotated. So this needs to be like this. So I know it just seems like, oh, you just did one line, but that one line with the yellow means a lot. This one line shows a lot of structure. It shows a lot of things. It just literally shows the whole structure of the cheekbone. So you getting the angle of this line wrong with the shading is messing up the whole portrait sides, because you're just showing a completely different type of structure. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense, and that's why it's so important to get the planes right. So first get the plane right, and then in your tracing, make sure that you're following the planes that you already drew. So especially around the jaw and the cheekbones, it needs to really follow it. Okay, let's take a look at another example. This cheekbone right here, it feels really big, so it would actually be smaller. It would be somewhere around here. So I think it's gonna be a great idea to start tracing more of the cheekbones if you're struggling with them, Maddie. And then I think in the tracing you place them pretty good, but you see how you actually made the whole line feel very like curved. You literally made it curved like this. Now, if you were following the cheekbone, you would have followed the cheekbone first and then go down to kind of make it curvy like this. So this is how you're showing the structure. You're going like this and then you're going down. If you don't think about this, you just end up with this, which feels more flat, right? And also, look at how little space you added here. Let me get another color. Look at this purple space, right? You left very little space, and on over here, you left a lot of space, okay? So I think it's looking better in the tracing, so you need to follow more. Again, this, and this needs to be consistent, Maddie. All of it, all three of it looks different. And I think you're doing pretty good with the features and around the face, but with the cheeks, you're having the most problems with. So practice that. Trace more cheekbones. I'm gonna post this one on the Discord so you can check it out. And yeah, make sure that it's all consistent. All right. So hopefully this makes sense, Maddie. So this is it for today, guys. Week 203. You guys are doing amazing. We want you to keep it up. Have a great weekend. Bye from the co-host hand,
Bye.
and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.